So now the mic is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to wish you all a peaceful and blessed Ramadan, especially in these trying times, because I know it's a bad few days. So, uh, with God's help, this will all be over very soon. So, how about me? So, as you've heard, I'm a teacher, trainer, and specialist, but basically, first of all, I'm also a fellow teacher. Uh, of course, I haven't been teaching in a school for, I don't know, 20 years, but I'm still entering into exiting schools when training teachers, so that should help. By the way, I also have a series of degrees, four languages, mathematics, and computer science, as you've heard, and that helps with a unique approach because nowadays it's not just plain teaching. It's teaching in conjunction with using computers, interactive whiteboards, specialized software, AI. It's a whole whirlwind of things. So
I'm
basically, the
sorry
thing
for
to
interrupting. I'm sorry for interrupting, Mariam. Your camera is on. Okay, I'm
well,
sorry.
these
That's fine.
no problem. These things happen in webinars and online meetings, so it's just to be expected. Especially since we're still expecting some people. So let's try and start with the presentation. So what we're going to talk tonight is class writing project for skills, one lesson at a time. Basically, what this means is I'm going to show you a way to use writing to integrate all four skills in the classroom in a game-based way, like gamification. So let's proceed. What are the two hardest skills for students to master? Nowadays, usually it's writing and speaking, because any other skills like vocabulary and reading basically and listening, we're doing based on the books. But what about speaking? What about writing? So we need to have a way to exercise both of those in a fun and productive way. Basically, as Confucius used to say, I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. Basically, what this means is kids listen to us drone on about the lesson, and after a while, they just forget it. They look at something, they like it, they remember some of it. But if they do something, if they have agency, then they start to understand. Because, as we all know, if you don't do something yourself, you're never going to learn it. So, how do I
Yeah,
get my
basically
students
it's
to write?
me.
Excuse me, sorry.
Basically it's me.
It's everyone, it's all of us. So, how do I get my students to write? And of course, as a conjunction, how do I get my students to speak? Well, the thing with young learners is they're very emotional. They have emotional ups and downs when trying to write. Like, for example, kids don't always have control over their emotions, especially when faced with a second language. And in our case, both mine because I'm Greek and yours, because you speak Arabic, uh, it's a language that doesn't have anything to do with English. So it's a completely different knowledge set. So of course, they always choke up. They have emotions, they get afraid, they get frustrated. What's the most usual thing a kid says when a child says when we're trying to have them write something? I don't know what to write. Or better yet, I have no idea how to start. What if I get it wrong? And of course, then there's the good students who are always like, this is too boring. Or the weak students, this is too hard. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but most of you should have mixed classes with both strong students and weak students. That's a standard thing these days. So, as teachers, we have to acknowledge these emotions and create an environment where students feel safe, motivated. They have to be excited and inspired to learn. It doesn't just work like you get the book, you read it a few times, you try to uh, remember everything you read. doesn't work like that, especially not with Generation Alpha, which is a new generation of these young kids. They're actually, I could say, addicted to technology, and writing, especially, is like an afterthought. They're always playing with their phones, playing on their computers, on their devices, and they're not actually writing, which is also true of a lot of adults. Most people have forgotten how to write, so we have to give them some way to feel like it's worth it. As a well-known teacher, Maya Angelou, once said, people will forget what you said, but they will never forget what you made them feel. If students are emotionally invested, they tend to internalize, it's not always that way, but they tend to internalize the lesson and can recall it at will. Basically, it's, look at it like this. If you like something, you emotionally engage it and you remember it. If we have any experience that we can remember, it's either a very good experience or a very bad experience. Anything that doesn't actually move us, we forget. The same is true for students. If they're emotionally invested, they tend to internalize the memory and hence the lesson, which means it'll stick with them because we want them to stick with it. Actual studies from universities have shown that incorporating narratives, basically stories, either long narratives we patently create or personal storytelling from the students themselves, it bridges the gap between theory and practice because there's a gap there. We teach theory, but the kids don't practice it. So we have to find new and creative ways every single time with every single new student to make them care, to make them turn theory into practice by writing, by speaking, by listening, by reading. We have to foster a deep understanding that persists long after the lesson because the way it usually works is uh, most students cram for a test, but after that, they forget everything about it. Well, this isn't about tests. This is about turning theory into something practical, into something that students will understand, something they will use. I don't know if you know this Kolb's cycle. Actually, you do know it, but you know it by another name. It's called sorry about that. Experiential learning. David Kolb was an educational psychologist in the 1940s and 1950s, and he actually came up with and termed the coin experiential learning. So the way he worked it was you take an experience, you actually go out as a teacher, you read something to the kids, you explain it to them, you show them examples of it. They then observe. So you repeat the process again and again. Then they start to conceptualize and they start to do exercises. Well, in this case, in writing, it works best in reverse. So the whole learning cycle, you turn it upside down. You begin with active experimentation. So whatever we've shown the kids, we have them write pieces uh, in sentences, then paragraphs. We then have them. This is all about the game, by the way, the game I'm going to show you. Uh, they start to conceptualize ideas. We want them to do some creative thinking because if they think creatively, if they know that it's their idea, they emotionally invest in the lesson. Hence, they start to observe one another and they complete a concrete experience. It's a specialized way of looking at creative writing, basically. So the process of creative writing, as you can see, is coupled with a feeling of choice, of agency, which basically means that kids don't respond as well to ready-made content as they do in things that they have choices about, like choosing whether you want hot chocolate or cold chocolate. The same goes with writing themes. If you give them a choice between two things, if they feel like they have a choice, even if it's made up by us, because of course we're not gonna let them write whatever they want. We're gonna have them do some guided creative writing. Then they feel like they have a stake in the lesson. It empowers and motivates them, and that's the thing. Especially with weak students, we want them to feel empowered. We don't want them to be afraid of the language, not to be afraid of learning something new. We want to motivate them into learning by themselves, into striving to better themselves. And of course, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. So the fire of education, basically, as Yeats said. So, is it really a problem or an opportunity? So let's go on to the class story. So this is something I cooked up, a gamified approach to writing. Basically, we're gonna turn the game of writing into a class experience. So if you have not this is not for every lesson, mind you. This is for once in a while. So say once a month, once a trimester, or if you want, you can do it more piecemeal. But still, you can turn the last 5 to 10 minutes of the lesson into a part of the game. What this game basically strives to achieve is it makes writing more approachable for low motivation students, and it helps especially in mixed ability classes. And I think we all have these types of classes. We've all experienced them. So, how do you motivate students that are on both sides of the spectrum or in between, both very low efficiency students and very good students? This is something that will help them both socially adapt and educationally, of course. It cultivates creativity and language acquisition. Now, the trick here is to guide them in a way that they actually strive to use the grammar and vocabulary of the lesson or the lessons that you've actually taught. Plus, it encourages group work. And as I said before, it also gives students agency, which means they have choices. They have choice A, choice B, choice C, so on and so forth, as to how to uh, continue the story. Basically, what this is, to simplify it a bit, you have the children write their own never ending story from the beginning of the year, school year, to the end. You strive to write each chapter in a different setting where kids actually choose how the story goes on. Think of it like a TV show where every next episode is written by the children. So in that case, at the end of the year, they're going to have a complete story, which you can then read out in class, and they can also role play it. And the nice thing about it is it's going to be something that hands-on shows all of the work that's been done during the school year. It's something that the kids are going to have to prove their work, prove their worth to themselves, and it's something they're going to enjoy. So it motivates them to participate and makes them emotionally invested. And the best of all, it uses all four skills because they have to write it, they have to read it, they have to listen to each other, and of course, they have to speak to each other to actually read aloud what they've written. So it uses all four skills. So what you need to prepare it, basically, you need to adjust it to each level, of course. So I actually, well, my proposition would be to use this from A2 and above, not A1, because they don't have a lot of vocabulary and grammar yet. You could adjust it, of course, but if you want to use a long version of the game, it's best to use it from A1 plus, A2, and above. So for those levels, you're going to need, say, 5 to 10 minutes at the end of each lesson. And also, you can just use it as a standalone. You can use it at the end of any lesson to have the children write a paragraph of anything, any theme, any storyline, any vocabulary, using any grammar you actually used in that particular lesson. Or you can use it as a long-term plan to do it instead of well, instead of a test, basically. You can use it that way as well. So, as a vocabulary, use the active lesson vocabulary of the lesson or the previous lessons you've actually taught since the last time you played the game. You have to prepare a list of options for students to vote on. So, for example, you have to choose what kind of a story are the children going to write. Is it going to be adventure? Is it going to be a fairy tale, a detective story, a mystery, something? You have to choose a list. You choose the list. Then you have the students actually vote on the list to choose what they want. That's what gives them agency. Every time the story is going to start or go on, they're going to choose. And of course, you use the grammar you have already taught. Now, as materials, you only need the students' pens and notebooks. For this, you can actually use separate notebooks to have the story separate from the rest of the lesson, because sometimes, of course, if you use books, uh, they don't mesh well, so you can have it as a standalone. Now, depending on the class level, you're also going to need to prepare a list, as I said, and explain to the students that they're going to collaborate to write their own story. So uh, every student is going to write it piece by piece during the school year. But how does it work? You have to begin by having the students vote on the general theme and the story they're going to write, as I said. Now, what can help there a lot is using WH questions. You know, who, what, where, when. Have each of the students write a small paragraph on how the story begins. Of course, you can write some helpers on the whiteboard or greenboard, whichever you have, to guide them, because a lot of students choke on the first sentence. They don't know how to begin. So you can just make it easier for them. For example, if it's a fairy tale, you can write on the board, once upon a time. So they start like that. Once upon a time, there was a what? Who? When? Well, when is once upon a time. So we also have to have a place. Where? So these make it easier. These options make it easier for the students. And of course, you have to give them a few minutes to write a sentence or two. Then have a couple of students read aloud by their rote. Each student, mind you, is going to write their own separate piece. You'll just have to randomly choose a few students, 2 or 3 students, and then have the rest of them vote on it. Which part are they going to keep? Then all of the students have to write down the part they actually chose. That's the beginning of the story. The same goes for every single bit, every chapter. Depending on how good or how bad your students do, you can do it more often. You can have them write larger pieces, like whole paragraphs or a couple of paragraphs. Or if they have problems adjusting, you can adjust it yourselves and do it easier for them, like even single sentences. That's going to be a process. The good thing about it, though, is you can, during that process, you also find out where there are gaps in the student's knowledge, what kind of vocabulary they don't understand, what kind of grammar types they have problems with. That's going to help. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier with the rest of the lesson, of course. Well, the next lesson, anyway. So, as I said, the students all vote which text they keep as canon. They all write it down, and then they have to actually discuss it in English for 2 minutes. How would they continue the story for the next time? So the next time, they're going to write what they discussed, or they're going to elaborate on it. In time, they're going to write a whole chapter, and then, of course, the next chapter and the next chapter. Now, once you have the chapter, of course, there's a very nice tool I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you later on. It's called Google Storybook. It's part of their free AI. By the way, all of the tools, I'm going to show you 3 different tools today. All of the tools are completely free to use for any time you want. So that specific tool actually turns the story into a flip book. So you can copy paste the story from the students into the AI and turns it into a downloadable and printable storybook, a flip book, which can also be narrated. So you can take each chapter, 10 pages each, make a different storybook, and then connect them and make one big story into an actual book at the end of the year. I mean, it's something you've surely never done before with an AI. It's something completely new, something we actually found out about this year. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Excuse me. So as I said, once a chapter of the story is complete, you can have the students read out their story, one sentence per student. That'll help them with the speaking because public speaking, as you know, is something that doesn't come easy to any of us at any time, especially young students. So this way, you start to slowly encourage them to speak out, uh, both when they discuss among themselves, which is debating, and also when you have them read out one sentence per student. And of course, the rest of the students are going to do some listening. That way, you leverage all four skills, not just writing. Now, how about Google Gemini Storybook? Now, here you have a few points. By the way, I'm gonna give you at the end some notes that contain all of this we're talking about today, so you don't have to jot down notes yourselves. So, as I said, Gemini Storybook. It's a great way to illustrate stories because it makes a flip book out of any story you want, or you can even give it a theme to make a sample out of it. Turns your stories into illustrated storybooks. So anytime there's a scene in the book, in the story, it makes an illustration of it. It creates illustrated short stories with very basic prompts. Now, something you have to keep in mind if you do copy and paste the story there, you have to also type the following. You have to tell it to keep the story verbatim. Basically, what this means, as you can understand, is that it won't change the story because sometimes if you copy paste a story that's not exactly great for illustration, it tends to change it in subtle ways so that it can create its own dialogues and background for the story, for the illustrations. So that way you can keep it exactly the way the kids wrote it. Keep in mind that it illustrates flipbooks for 10 pages each. Each page can contain up to 3 to 4 paragraphs, in my experience. So keep that in mind when you have kids write their story, that you have to keep it up to those. So every 4 paragraphs, say, I'd say 3, do it for a different page. So 10 pages each makes about 30 to 40 paragraphs per chapter. Of course, it's completely free. Flipbooks can be shared either by downloading them, so you can also give it to the parents, so they have something to look at what their kids actually did in school. You can play it online with narration, so it actually makes voices for the different characters. It's also always fun to have. And of course, you can print it out as a PDF, or if you have a printer, to actually print it like an actual book. So you can actually print a book at the end of each chapter, or at the end of all the chapters when you have completed the book at the end of the school year. You can make an actual printed book that you can give out as a folder to your students as a gift. Now let's see a bit how it works. I've made a couple of videos to show you how it works basically. Usually any story you copy and paste over there takes about 3 to 4 minutes to complete. So it doesn't take long at all. In this case, I didn't want to give it a whole story. I just gave it a plot and let it make its own story. Fast forward a bit. Keep in mind, this whole video is about a minute and a half. Because I didn't actually give it my own story, but I let it make up its own. Fun fact, because I told him I wanted a story about an English teacher, it actually integrated vocabulary and grammar based on what
Inside
I
the
previously
classroom,
told
the
it.
air was filled with the hum of preparation. Tarek was busy drawing a map on the chalkboard. Though it looked more like a map of a galaxy than a neighborhood, Alistair walked over and tapped.
So as you can see, you can play it for the class, you can download it, you can print it out, whatever you want. It's very handy. Now, another tool, very useful, this one for speaking, is Hume. Some of you might be familiar with it because a colleague of mine actually showed it in a seminar in Egypt. It's called Hume. It's a very new AI. Well, actually, it's been around for a few years, but it's a lot of fun because you can use it to develop your students' speaking skills, either for oral examination. By the way, it supports all of the known CFR-based examinations, like Cambridge, for example, like IELTS, FCE, CPE, and so on and so forth. So you can actually have it play the role of an examiner for any level you wish and have the students trained with it. That's always good to have. But in our case, it's also great for creative speaking, which basically means that you can have it talk out, discuss, and debate the finer points of creative writing. You can either do it in class or you can have the students do it at home, where they can actually speak to it and debate what they should write for the next part of the story. Mind you, it doesn't give them the story plot, but it helps explain to them how they would go about thinking on what to write next. So basically, it's creative speaking in conjunction with creative writing in class. Now, defining characteristics, it does require an account, but it's free. And if you want to use it as an oral examination practice, it's freemium, which means you can talk freely for about 10 minutes and then you have to restart it. There's no big deal because uh, you just refresh the browser basically. Now, if you want the premium version, it's a bit steep at $3 a month, but you don't really need it because you can use it as much as you want by just refreshing. So it can be used in multiple roles, and of course, can be integrated into other apps. For example, by the way, in case you're interested, it also works with Zoom and Microsoft Teams. So you can actually integrate it as a study companion for the students. And here's a bit of a small trial I did for FCE. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm the examiner for your Cambridge S.
Sorry, just pause it. Can you actually hear the sound, or is it just me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It's a little bit low, but we can hear it.
Okay, good to know.
CE speaking test today. Could you please tell me your full name and where you're from?
My name's Paris, and I'm from Crete.
Thank you, Paris. Crete is a beautiful island with a rich cultural heritage. Let's begin part one of the test. Could you tell me what you enjoy most about living in Crete?
Well, mostly the carefree lifestyle, the friendly people, and of course, beautiful beaches.
Lovely. That sounds. Now, what do you typically do on a typical weekend in Crete? I'm particularly interested.
As you can see, it actually takes on the role of an examiner really seriously. It follows the exact script of FCE. Now, if you want a custom examination that's native only to your country, you can actually go to this box on the right side of the screen. We can see temperature and system prompt. Under the system prompt, you can type in there. So that's where you can actually type in any specifications you want. It'll take them into account. Now, another nifty tool, very nice one, by the way, is Suno. A lot of you might also know it can make very nice songs for karaoke for the students. But in our case, it can also make a soundtrack for our story. By the way, Suno can be used. It's completely free. You can download MP3s, especially also for free. And nowadays, something new that's been added, you can also make video clips for karaoke. Now, this tool is mainly for creating your own songs. You can also use it for creating instrumental versions, as they're called, which means a background soundtrack for your story. So imagine you have your students write a chapter. Then the next lesson, you've made a soundtrack for that chapter, and you play it for them while you narrate, or you have the students narrate even better. It'll make it more atmospheric and more emotionally conductive for the students. Plus, you can also create your own songs about the vocabulary of the day, about grammar. I've actually, me myself, I've made a lot of grammar songs lately, and it works very, very nice because you can also dictate what kind of speed, what style it'll use. Doesn't do watermarking, no ads or anything like that. It's just that it limits you to up to 15 songs a day in the free version. And I mean, okay, how many songs is someone going to make in a single day, right? So you can find that at suno.ai. All of this is also at the notes you'll find at the end of this presentation. Now, something else, here are a few notes I made. You can turn your students into songwriters themselves. So you can let them write a poem or story and then turn it into a catchy song. Like, for example, if you have part of the story where the heroes do something heroic, well, why not have Suno write hero's song for them to actually sing in the next lesson? Or you can have it as a background. You can also practice pronunciation through music, create songs using class vocabulary and sing-alongs. So basically, not just karaoke, but karaoke and sing-alongs to improve rhythm, stress, and fluency, and of course intonation. Something I didn't write here. Uh, and of course, make listening activities fun. You can actually, come to think of it, you can actually make a listening exercise using a song. And you can of course revise vocabulary with a beat. So put the week's new words into a rap or pop song that's in vogue right now with young students, and watch your students remember them all. You can also host a class music challenge, like split the class into two teams, make them write lyrics, which is also creative writing, by the way. Then make a song with Suno and vote for the best class hit. Then I don't know, you can maybe give them out chocolates or something to the winners, so they'll feel they have actually won something, a prize. So here's how it works. You have a very simple menu where you describe your lyrics. You can either copy paste if you have, as you can see, there's instead of auto, there's also a write lyrics option where you can just copy paste if you have written your own lyrics, and just type them in, or you can type a theme, what you want the song to be about. Then the style. You can also dictate if there's going to be a choir, if there's going to be male or female vocals, what style it's going to be, if it's energetic, so fast, or if it's slow. You can use a lot, and just click create, and it takes a few seconds and makes two different versions of the song, so you can choose which you like best. By the way, this video was made last year, so there's a lot of new features, and the sound is much, much better nowadays. As you can see, it's as you can listen, it's very modern. And of course, you can download it, you can like it, you can share it, you can change the lyrics, you can add captions, anything you like. You get 50 credits each day for free, and that means about 15 songs for about 3 minutes per song. If you want, you can also make longer extensions for the songs. There's an option for that. And of course, you can do some remix or make instrumental versions. For example, you can make a song for vocabulary or grammar. You can have it all out with lyrics, have it one as a sing along, and another version as karaoke, where students can still see all of the lyrics and which word should be spoken at any time. You know, a classic karaoke video, basically. And you can use it both in class or in a show or something else, in a challenge, maybe, like a riff off. Come to think of it, there's a nice idea for a music challenge in a class, a riff off. If you know what if you don't if you're not familiar with the term riff off, basically it means kids are going to uh, split into two teams or more. Then they're gonna challenge each other to start singing a song, and then when they stop, the other team has to actually continue where the previous team left off with a different song, but in the same line, the same theme. It's a lot of fun. There are a couple of movies you can watch about that. Can't remember. There are a couple good ones, but they escape me right now. Now, anyway, and plus there's another game, the description game, or describe it as it's usually called. You can use to actually help students do revision of words, grammar, vocabulary, so on and so forth. This game focuses on reading, writing, speaking, and listening, so all four skills once more, and it ties in very nicely with the writing game. So basically what these students do, you turn them into teams, into pairs, two students per team, and the aim is for one student to describe words and the other student to guess the word from a student's description. This is for A1 plus and above. You can use it for A1, but in that case, I'd also use flashcards. There's a different version I can send you if you want it. Now, how this game is set up. You divide the students, as I said, into pairs, student A and student B. You give each pair a pen and a piece of paper. One of the students is going to write, and the other is going to speak. So have all students A sit facing away from the whiteboard, and then you're going to write 5 to 10 words of the day, preferably, on the board that you want the students to practice or revise. For example, if you want to revise sports, you might write the words tennis, football, volleyball, so different kinds of sports. If you want to use, for example, mechanized sports, in that case, you go Formula One, so on and so forth. Now, after you've written the words on the page on the whiteboard, you have one student sitting with his back to the whiteboard, and the student B starts and describes the first word on the board to student A without saying the word. If they do say the word, they have to start all over and they get disqualified. For example, if the word was tennis, student B might say, people play this sport in a court. The court is divided in two, and so on and so forth. They have to use their words in sentences, but they can't actually use the word that's on the board. Anything but that. So student A listens to the other student of their team, student B. He writes down the word they think it is and show it to them. Now, student A is not allowed to talk in any way during the game. If the word is correct, student B moves on to describe the second word on the board and so on and so forth. Now, if it's wrong, student B continues describing the word until the partner is able to guess the word. Now, the first pair of students to finish wins the round and scores a point. Now, if there's not enough room in the class to have all the students pair up, you select however many can fit in a row, and then you do it again with the other students once the first couple of teams finish. Now, the students then swap roles, and the new set of words is written on the board, and so on. The pair with the most points, they get 1 point for each word, mind you. The pair with the most words on the end of the game wins. Now, our children are the builders of tomorrow. So we have to provide them the tools to help them build a world of endless wonder. And we do that by making them emotionally invest into the lessons we teach, and we have to teach them to the best of our abilities. These are a couple of the tools I could show you tonight. We don't have a lot of time to show you others, but in case any of you want some more pointers, more tools, and so on and so forth, I'll happily provide. Um, and to that end, I've made a couple of videos, and this video I made it with an AI. Now, all the notes are downloadable from here. You can either take a picture with your phone, scan the QR, or you can use the the link below. I'll leave here for half a minute. In case someone has any question, now's the time to ask. So you can open your microphones and go ahead.
I love the video. The last part. Last part. This is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, and maybe teachers who are attending from Kuwait can generate something like this, because nowadays we are working online, so we can just add it at the end of the session, so the students maybe it's motivated, or so take fun when they are uh,
Yeah, I actually
like
made the last video with a
uh,
tool called Vidu. It's also free, by the way.
video.
VIDU.
Vidu. Okay, so this is
Vidu
great.
Vidu
Thank
Studio.
you.
So it's fun because you can also use it. For example, with the story we just talked about, you can actually take a
Mhm.
small chapter and turn it into a video, a 10-second video. So every
Mm.
video is a single scene of the movie, so to speak. And these days, it
Yeah.
also allows you to keep consistency, which means you can have a whole series of videos that's scene by scene by scene with the same characters. So you end up making a
Hmm.
story
Yeah.
with a book and then also a movie about the story in the book.
Yeah, we can. You give me a point that we can generate all the pictures using Gemini or maybe ChatGPT,
Exactly.
and then we can make the video. And there is CapCut, I think its name. We can collect
Mhm.
all the chapters
True.
together and make it like a long video. Yes.
Yes, you can actually do that. By the
Yeah.
way,
Thank you
these
for
are
the insight.
my these are my contact information. This is my contact information. In case any of you need anything, feel free to send me a message, and I'll help however I can.
Okay, so dear teachers, do you have any questions for Sir Paris before we leave? Okay, anyone? Yeah, I think everything was clear. And but I honestly have a question relating to Gemini, because I tried it while you were talking about it. I tried to create a storybook, like you said, using Gemini, but I find that it creates me like pictures only. So they were only images. So
Did you
what I don't
also
know.
type in a story, or did you just ask it to create a storybook?
Storybook, I said.
Okay, there's I'll find it in a moment. There's a certain link you have to use. This one here.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just put it into Gemini, it doesn't automatically load Storybook.
Got
That's a
it.
known
Yes.
bug because
So,
Gemini itself just gives you pictures.
oh yeah, this is what happened.
Yeah,
That's why
so
I
that's
asked.
an
So
excellent
Gemini is
question,
totally good.
actually. So this is also why I tend to give the full link because you never know what could happen.
Yeah, yes, yes. So it's different. Yes, when I just wrote Gemini, I typed Gemini, and then I found only
Yeah, it's a
images.
different
So yeah, this is great. I
mini
got
app.
it.
Storybook is a part of Gemini,
Mm.
but it's a Google experiment, so it won't show up in the search engine.
Oh yeah,
Because at
yes,
this
I
point
got,
it's meant
I got
for
it.
educational purposes, so it's completely free,
Mhm.
but it's meant for teachers basically, so they don't want just anybody to stumble into it.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so I may if I couldn't use this link, so maybe I can ask you
Mhm.
on Messenger maybe, or I send you a
Of
message,
course, whatever you
and
need.
then I will share it with the teachers because I believe if they used it, they
Yeah,
may
you can
get the same
also
what I
find
sent to me. Yeah.
the link
Oh yeah,
on
sure.
the notes. I've made a PDF with everything you might need from the presentation,
Mhm.
a step-by-step guide, so to speak. So you can find it at this link here, or you can just scan it as a QR code with your phone or tablet.
Yeah, I just want to add a point. The last part you have done here, you can download the notes. What we usually do with other trainers, I believe, and what I said about all the speakers, all the trainers, that they are like there is a big garden and we have many flowers, and then each flower has its smell and has its color. So this is what I found with speakers and trainers. What I found here that this is intelligent smart really, that we can take all the notes from we don't you don't need to download, you don't need to send me a PDF for the trainees to send them. And also it's not the full version of the presentation, this is your copyrights. So when they have just a link for the notes they will need while they are would like to revise everything that they studied in your session, so it's clear to them. So this is really great. And yeah, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. And I
Okay,
believe that's that
so
for
Th-
me.
Thank you so much, Sir Paris. And I have an idea about one app. We can use it in the same way. It's called Grok. And
Ah, yes, of course, yes, yes.
yeah, and you can. I have done it with a colleague of mine, and we have made conversation between students and scientists. I mean, in the old times, like for instance, Einstein. So there was a conversation. The student was asking him his theory and all that stuff. So it's interesting for students.
Yes, you know there are actually several different tools that can do the
Yeah,
same things.
exactly. Yes.
This with the characters, you can also do it with Hume, and you can also do it with ChatGPT. By the way,
Yeah.
they recently added a voice option to ChatGPT, so you can actually download the app on your phone or tablet and
Mm-hmm.
speak to the app. So have an actual
Mm,
conversation.
yeah. And another one, as you remember, it's called Notebook LM. It's in Google. It's made by Google. This
Yes,
also
but
can give
although
you.
that one's more a note taker, and
Mm-hmm.
it was designed for corporate use, not for educational use. I think they're going to lock it down under a paywall in the next
Oh,
few months.
oh yeah.
But Storybook has the exact same Storybook and Grok and ChatGPT have the same
Yeah.
functions that are free for educational use. That's very important because a lot of those organizations and companies have a
Mm-hmm.
specialized policy for teachers
About it.
where if you can give them send them a note, an email that you're a teacher, they give you free access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The
Thank
same
you
is
so
true
much. Your
for
presentation was interesting, and it's because we need to build our students for the future, and that's really what they need.
I hope you liked it.
Yeah, of course, a lot. I appreciate what you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we leave, I would like to add something interesting. When yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I can say it at the end. Go on.
Of course. What's the question?
Hello, Mr. Paris.
Good evening.
Hello. Can you hear
Yes, I can
me?
hear you.
Yes, I am Mohammed Shakir from Morocco, Casablanca. I'm a TEFL, okay? I have been teaching for a long time. So first of all, I would like to thank you for the presentations. You have given many prominent and interesting ideas about how, okay, but as far as I'm concerned, okay, so I am a bit stuck to the notion of creativity. Well,
As for creative writing, you mean? Your
Uh,
microphone is off.
your microphone is off. I think he's talking about he is as like
I'm
experienced
sorry, yeah.
teacher.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
because it cut off
Go
at
on.
some point. I didn't
Yeah,
hear the whole
yes, it is
question.
some. Anyway, I said that means we are living in a world of media computers. As far as I'm concerned, from my own experience, I want most of teachers just a suggestion just to take to keep students away in the class. You have to determine the creativity. I can give you an experience I did. So I asked my students to do a research, to go to magazines, okay, and take at random any pictures from magazines, and each one brings 10 photos. So they are in class. First, there is an action that you take the photos, and in the class I made groups, and students we shuffle the photos, and they take just but random. And they try to create a story. For example, they have a triangle. Yes, you have each image. You have people, you have time, you have notion of space, you have events, what is going on, and from this that you can hinder create their activities. And each student, each group, you have to create a secretary. They will elect democratically within the group their secretary, the one who is going to write, the one who is going to speak. In that way, at the end, they start for example, you have four groups of five students or six. The first one, they start just from the photos, they create the beginning of the story. And just in a spontaneous, we move on to the other group. They are to complete the story. So it means there is, because they are attracted to listen. Because when you give each student, each group to create their own story, they are not motivated. So you create a kind of teamwork, and at the end, it is the story of the group. They will write it, all the secretaries, and they will print it and maybe type it and do distribute to the students. Okay, this is one of the ideas. Okay, okay. Or for instance, like playing cards. You know, playing cards. You have take some cardboards, 24 cardboards, and you as a teacher create a story. You start, for example, first sentence, and you cut the sentence, and you make punctuations, and all the cards, for example, you have 24 cards for group A, and the same story, the same 24 cards in red, for example, for group B. And you give them, and they try to come up which is the beginning, okay, the end of the story, and at the end, the first group who gets. So here, my objective, because I'm also a professor, but I'm also doing sociology. I'm sorry, I can see things in a different way. So we have to do as teachers, it is our task to keep students away from media, from using platform for, computer. Try to renew this possibility, because the creativity is blocked. When we use Gemini, it means there is a kind of artificiality. There is no human side. I know they are motivated. We have, okay, it's okay, but This is my opinion. It depends, okay, to discuss. Sorry, and thank
No,
you
no,
for,
I see
so,
your point, and
thank
no,
you
I
for,
agree. It's in the same vein of what I was
yes,
talking about. The
yeah,
tools I was showing were actually very specific, very specifically used in an ethical way, because it's true what you said. Students tend to free roam all of the tools, and this is
right,
something we have to be aware of and moderate, of course. The thing, though,
yes,
is unfortunately we can't avoid new technology and their effects on children at large, but we can focus them in a way that's helpful to them instead of just uncontrolled, either yes or no.
yes,
But you have an excellent point. I totally agree with you.
yes, thank you. There is one thing I liked in the presentations. It is short and pragmatic because most of the presentations they did a long time for listening. So it means very short and concrete and concise. Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Mr.
quite
Paris.
welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we can teach like a comment on what I have been listening to. We can make like teach our students AI literacy. So this is will be good for them, and they will know how to use AI, how to do, how can they use technology, and maybe when you give them homework, they can go to like ChatGPT and just copy and paste and give you the answer. You should teach them AI literacy and know what's the problems with that and so on. Yeah, so the one which is interesting, I would like to tell you that when I was using Gemini 2 weeks before, my 7 years kid has created a video, and he has created like a background for the video and something. I don't know how did he create this. I thought he just found it on my phone and he used it, but when I logged in Gemini, I found that he used Gemini to create the background for his video. And this is what's interesting. I didn't know this before. It was the first time to know that he used Gemini to create a background for his video, and he is just 7 years old. So technology using AI is a must, and we have to teach our students or how our kids at home as well how to use it in the right way.
Exactly right.
Okay, so thank you so much again, and much appreciated that you accepted our invitation. We would love to continue with the session, but we have to end it. Yes, so people now have your contact numbers or maybe contact details. So please, if you have any questions, you can go to Sir Paris and ask him. Or if you would like me to pass him the questions, no worries about that. I'm under your permission. Thank you so much again. And I would love to see you in Egypt this year in our conference.
I'd love to.
Yeah, in July. Yeah, please check your schedule, and that would be our pleasure uh, to meet you in Egypt and maybe in Kuwait after
even in
this war has
Morocco.
ended. Yeah, in Morocco. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe in Morocco. Yeah, in Morocco,
So,
we are planning to have another conference in Morocco, but it will be in.
inshallah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, it will be after September. So after the beginning
inshallah.
of this year, inshallah.
You're the,
Yes.
you're the most welcomed. You and Sir
Thank you so
Paris.
much. Thank you so much. Okay, so it's time to end the meeting. So the mic is yours now, Sir Mike, and then we will end the meeting.
Okay, so thank you everyone for attending and giving me this opportunity to show you a few ideas. And I wish you from my heart all the best to you and
Thanks,
your
Mr.
families.
Paris. Thanks a lot for you.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Goodbye. Good night. Yes, bye.